Hello and welcome to the Let's Talk Mental Health Show with Nick Wilson. It's his job to inspire, educate and empower you lovely people. And if he doesn't, well, don't shoot the messenger.
A lot of people would say that I just waffle shit a lot of the time, but I like to reframe it and believe that I'm good enough.
There will be discussions on key topics, guest interviews, and shall be sharing lived experiences, all providing you with skills, tips and guidance on how to better manage your own mental well-being. We won't be holding back from the tough issues, so it will get a little raw yet real at times. But for now, let's get on with the show.
Welcome everyone to another show of Let's Talk Mental Health. We've been away for some time, haven't we? No excuses for that. I've just been feeling a bit shit, if I'm honest. And there's nothing worse than having someone on the show who just doesn't have that energy, you know, and you listen to someone drone away, which is why I don't know why I got Sean on the show, but we'll go with it anyway. We go with it anyway. Today's guest, he didn't get that one, I can see his face. Today's guest is none other than the OBE chaser that is
chaser, Jesus,
veteran award founder and overall veteran, fitness fanatic, Forces Fitness business founder, and just on a serious note, incredible guy that I really look up to massively. Sean Molino.
Hello, everybody. How are you this morning, Nick?
I'm brilliant, mate. I'm feeling top of the world, bud.
Living the dream. Living the dream.
Living the dream. Living the dream. It's great to hear your voice, bud. And can you tell the listeners a little bit about you, your background, who you are, and obviously about Veterans Awards?
Yeah, so I served 6 years within the 1st Battalion Welsh Guards. I served as a physical training instructor for around 4 or 5 of those years. Thoroughly enjoyed my time in the military. Upon leaving, I transitioned into sort of leisure management. Went down the route of management rather than sort of personal training. I run a few decent-sized leisure clubs, so for people out there, sort of stuff like village hotels. I think there's village hotels in most places. So I set up the one in Swansea and set up all the leisure, and as a leisure operations manager for them. Then I went across, really, which is a bit of a weird one for me. I went across and sort of chased the money, as we do. I went across to Lidl's. I was one of their store managers and training academy managers.
I never did a lot for Lidl.
I was earning a lot of money with them, to be fair. It's nearly £50,000-60,000 a year, fully expensed Audi every year, didn't have to worry about petrol. You know, but what took me with that was that I sort of was turning up with the old brave sort of face on. So, you know, I was rocking up into work, and it was, you know, the last sort of 2 years, it was all about productivity, less people, more work, less people, more work, save budget, you know. But to me, in the end, I wasn't really loving it that much, you know, and I was putting that brave face on like many people do out there. And it was getting to me a little bit. And I spoke with it through my wife, and then something happened. And one day I just sort of handed my notice in. I worked my notice, and then I do something I really love now. Which is I run Forces Fitness, so that's my main job. That's what I get paid for to do, and I thoroughly enjoy that. And we're a health and wellbeing consultancy. We work closely with schools, colleges, universities. We run employability bootcamp programs that get people who have maybe come through the criminal justice system or are out of work in hostels. We get them back into work. We run health and wellbeing programs, and we do the old school military outdoor screamy shouty bootcamps and residentials, which is all fun stuff, really. So now I think I'm doing something that I thoroughly enjoy. I've got a really big passion for. And if something that's taught me in life, it is definitely not all about the money. And I'm glad I learned that out. Learned that at quite an early age, really, at the age of sort of 36. So it was a couple of years back for me that I sort of decided, look, stop chasing money. Money doesn't make you happy. And now I do something that I thoroughly enjoy. And that's Forces Fitness.
That's Forces Fitness, but you don't end at Forces Fitness, do you?
No. Again, I think that
this is the OBE.
But no, honestly, I thoroughly love the Veterans Award. So what happened upon leaving Lidl as well gave me more time to invest my time into passion. And my passion for me is promoting positivity. And you know that, Nick. I like to promote the positives. There's a lot of negative people out there that will just pop up on people's timeline and only comment negative things and never sort of like a nice photo of somebody or won't promote anything positive or only pop up for an argument. We all know them. We've got them out there somewhere on our social media that will just pop up to bitch, to moan, to whinge. So I thought, right, what can I do? I can promote more positives from our time serving in the armed forces, promote some of the positive things that have happened. And I decided, I sat down with a number of other veterans and a number of other stakeholders, and we launched the Veterans Awards. And initially it was run as a pilot through Forces Fitness last year, because obviously we wanted to get it off the ground and support the ABF Soldiers charity. But now it's a full not-for-profit organisation. And our board of directors on there don't take any salary. They sit on there in a voluntary capacity, and they're all leaders in their relevant fields, and they donate their time really to help and support this really sort of inspiring project that just literally promotes the positives from within our military community. I think as well as you know, as I know, Nick, as well, there's a lot of negative media sometimes about serving in the armed forces. You know, there's a lot out there, and there are issues. We know there's issues. There are issues to do with PTSD, homelessness, and soldier prosecutions 100%. But on the other side of it, there are a lot of positives as well, and I wanted to sort of try and sort of push the positive side and push the positive people who have maybe come through some of the issues you just talked about, whether homelessness, PTSD, and celebrate their success stories so that people can look at that and say, do you know what, if he's done it or she's done it or they've done it, then do you know, I can do that too. And you've got someone as a go-to point. And that's what I really wanted to be. I wanted to be a site and all our social media to go out to just be generally positive, you know, and it's nice. It's a nice, positive place to come, post your positive stories, and we'll celebrate your success in doing so as well.
Thank you. I'm doing a typical bloke thing of trying to do two things at once, which is listen to you, think of a response, and write a little note. So apologies for the pause. What you're doing is incredible, mate, and obviously this is what brought us two together from a point of view of today for this show. Because I'm going to be naming it Positivity Breeds Positivity Does It.
My catchphrase, Link. My catchphrase. That's my catchphrase.
Exactly. And that's why I've kind of done it. Because it was... I know that you've been this Positivity Breeds Positivity. I think you even sign off on your emails with that saying.
I do. Yes,
you do. I know. And no one can fault your enthusiasm and your reasoning, and as our personal conversation went last night, which is between me and you, but it's no one could ever question your morals, because you are totally up there, and I don't inspire. Not many people kind of inspire me nowadays. I think, but you're certainly one of them.
Thank you.
And but then there's also a question mark for me that I'm trying to get my head around, which is the reason for the podcast. Positivity brings positivity. I think it's because it's one of those. I'm starting to get a bit fed up with all these sayings that are kind of out there at the moment. It's not weak to speak, and it's okay not to be okay, and you know, all these kind of things. And whilst they come from a good place, sometimes they can be chuffing annoying. And I've spoken to many people now about this kind of stuff, and I'm just wondering if it's being overused somewhat.
I think really, I think it depends really what you want to achieve. I think from my side, what I want to do is just celebrate the positives. So, and what I found from my experience is that, you know, promoting positive stories, promoting background stories that people have come through. Oh, you're on. I can see you now. Promoting positive stories, promoting the background stories. It gives people sometimes, I think, the word potentially hope, you know, as well. And I think that if they are in a difficult situation, that things can change. I'm under no illusion that we go through difficult stages and people have been through tough times, and there's people out there that are really suffering. I know that. I've been through some tough times myself on a personal level. I don't talk too much about it, and it's not out there, but I have. And, you know, drawing back from those times and looking at how I've changed, I think seeing positive role models do help. I can also understand on the side of it that too much of it can make people a bit like, oh, you know, was he going on about that again? Or are people going on about that again? And it sometimes could become annoying. But I don't know. I think I can only speak from what's really worked well with me, what I think that's working really well with what we're trying to achieve, I suppose, through Veterans Award as a brand, as a positive brand as well, if that makes sense. And we just want people to, and again, that's all I want to do. I just want to promote the positives. There is enough negative speak or down speak to do with militaries and veterans and moaning and bitching and whinging between veterans in fighting in different places. You know that. You only have to look on some social media sites sometimes to see
that's why I came off them.
But I want to see myself as, do you know what? I will somewhere be in the middle if I can and try and help and support each side. Does that make sense? And if there's issues, and you know, I just want to promote the good stuff. And if someone's got anything good, and it's not all about the award ceremony, the black tie at the end of the year, and you know, that's great and that's nice to have a night out. We promote you throughout the year for free anyway. If you've got a good story, just get in touch with us. We'll promote and we'll do a profile blog on you. That's not a problem. We'll do that for you, your company. If there's something good going on out there, that's what our role is. You know, obviously we do end with dinners, as you know, Nick, in the different countries, the home nations. But our aim is to literally and purely promote positive stories, hopefully inspire future service leavers when they're looking to leave the military, that good things can happen, or the people that are doing, you know, that are in a difficult position, that there is light at the end of the tunnel, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, mate, this is absolutely not about questioning what you're about personally or the awards or your organisation. I think it's more that saying, positivity breeds positivity. That one. The one I can't even chuff and say.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, it's very similar. It's just different terminology. When I talk to people at my support group, the guys, about mindset change. Yeah, so it's a similar kind of thing, isn't it? It's managing your mindset, managing how you view situations, how you view people, how you view life in general, etc. You know, it comes down to your mindset. And when I first introduced that to them, the barrage I got straight away was. It wasn't horrible or anything like that. It was the what I got from them was, well, that's easy to say when you're not struggling like hell, or you know, when you've got when you do have a mental illness, you know.
Yeah, and I think I can, obviously, it all depends what context, and it comes from a personal perspective. Don't get me wrong. You know, if I'm going up to someone that's in a really, you know, serious mental health issues, and I'm going, hey, positivity breeds positivity, that is not, I would not bring that one out at that time. And that would not go down like a lead balloon, obviously. You've got to, and it's like any sort of wording or any content, you know, people obviously go through different issues, and there's people with different stages, and there's things we say to different people at different times. In general, without people with mental health issues, if you follow the 5 ways to well-being, which sort of cements almost in one way the positivity breeds positivity by surrounding yourself with positive, like-minded people who will help and support you on your journey. You know, that there's number one, really, the 5 ways to well-being that are proved to actually, you know, improve your overall mental health and well-being. You know, number 2 is obviously giving back and helping and supporting others. You know, whether that's through financial or giving help, support, and advice is number 2. You know, number 3, taking notice of things. You know, to get this technology, you know, get it down, get outside, get back in the green for a little bit, take notice. And obviously, the big one, which is big for me and health and well-being, is exercise. You know, and it doesn't have to be a CrossFit gym. It doesn't have to be a beast. You know, just get outside and go for a bloody walk if you want to. You know what I mean? Just take your camera. If you're into, when I speak to people, I say, look, if you like camera, if you like drawing, or you're an artist, just go for a walk somewhere. Take some snaps up the mountain, you know, and that's part of your daily exercise routine, which again is covering the 5 ways to well-being. But no, I understand what you're saying. I would never bring out positivity breeds positivity in a sort of mental health group, if that makes sense. Because even though the fundamentals of it could be worded better. Does that make sense? So from my side, if I was sitting in that group, I would sit down and I would say, look, you know, we look at the 5 ways to well-being, try and base a plan around that. And, you know, surrounding yourself with potentially positive people could have an effect, and it could help you. have 100%, or people who have been through before. And this is the part of the reason, we have support groups and peer-to-peer support, mate, is because people have been through the issues and they can explain their best practice to try and help others. And again, that's giving back, which is part of the 5 ways to wellbeing. So I base my life around the 5 ways to wellbeing. I base my Forces Fitness around the 5 ways to wellbeing, and I base the Veterans Awards around the 5 ways to wellbeing, because that means mentally I should hopefully keep in check, and it grows a nice business or organisation that isn't really based around money. It's based around helping and supporting other people.
Okay, cool. So what's your view on seeing it a lot on LinkedIn at the moment, and there's certain individuals, certainly within my connections, so you might not obviously have seen them, and they do a lot of video stuff, and it's kind of going, all you need to be is positive. So they're kind of doing these videos and they're like, yeah, all you need to be is positive in life, and positivity has got me through COVID, and positivity is just, that's all you need to do. Just stay positive all the time. And, there's no blah, 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 blah. What's your kind of view on that? I know you've just spoken a bit on context.
Yeah, I think it's impossible to stay positive completely every time of the day. I'm not going to sit here, and I'm a very, very, probably the most positive guy you probably know, I think. Nick, you probably said that at the beginning. I am 1,000 miles an hour, and I do like to get a plan, and I do like, to think of the positives as best I can. You can look at positives in most things if that's the way your mindset is, okay? You can. I know even in the worst situation, when you get over something, you can look at the positives, but at that worst situation point, you're not going to be positive here. So it's impossible to stay positive 100% of the time. That's a definite fact. Yeah. And we all go through tough times. And I'm fully aware of that. And you're going to have that time where you have the shock factor initially, and you find out something's happened. You're going to be like, oh my God, what's going on? You're going to be down, and your head's going to be in a bad place. That's what happens. Well, that's what happens to me anyway, just giving my previous experiences. So I'll have time to digest it and think about it. And usually I go into a bit of a quiet space for me. That's what I would do. I'd go into a bit of a quiet space for a bit, where I sort of get a bit withdrawn, really, where I'm thinking, right, what the hell? And then I'll look back at it, and I tend to try and analyze things in my own head and try and set some goals to think, what am I going to do? What am I going to do to try and turn this around into a positive situation? But that might just be the way that I am in my head. But we're all different. Everyone's different. Everyone's different in the world. If we didn't have people that were not saying there are people that are negative focused, like we talked about earlier on. Popping up people's walls, just being negative. Not people with mental health issues. Now I'm addressing people with very negative focus who like to put people down. We wouldn't have people who were positive. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's a happy balance in life.
It's a balance of everything, isn't it?
And you've got to have that balance, because otherwise positive people wouldn't be positive people, would they? They'd just be normal. So but I can 100% understand what you're saying, and again, it all depends on your personal perspective, really, the situation we're in, 100%, and what you're dealing with, really. You can't be positive 100% of the time. I'm fully aware of that, because I'm not. I might be, when I'm doing my things, I might have that positive mindset, but there are times when I've been down, stressed, depressed. Fact, we're all human, aren't we?
So do you think now is with all the shit that's going on, right, that every, probably 90% of people are dealing with financial worries, insecurities, furlough problems, possible loss of employment, possible rent or mortgage problems, etc. Is it the right time to be putting videos out there in this massive positive way, going, yeah, I can do this. This is what you need to do. All you need to do is to be positive. And that's not a dig at you. I'm just talking about is it at the right time? Is it a good time to be doing that for these people that are doing it?
It all depends how you take it, I suppose, doesn't it? For some people, that might well give them they may well think, oh, I don't know, I might get into this positive vibe. It might switch them. For some people, it may have a negative effect. And it all depends what sort of mental state and your own personal situation you're in as well, if that makes sense, I think, from my side. I think, if it's just about positive, I haven't seen the videos, Nick, so it's hard to comment if I haven't actually seen what type of videos and what's going on. It'd be nice to maybe see what they are, and then I could give my own sort of view on it.
I suppose to put some context, it kind of connects slightly to what I was going to build up to next, which is about seeing successful people and that whole, I've done this, you can do this too. All you need to do is be positive.
Yeah, I think there's more things to life than being positive. I mean, I think there's definitely more to life than being positive, and most of it is, again, I'm going to draw it back to this 5 ways to well-being. If anybody hasn't looked at the 5 ways to well-being, please do have a look at it, because I think that's helped me as a person, again, mentally, physically, and my overall well-being, and in business. And if you can divulge what it means,
I'll make sure that I put it on the info for him, mate.
I think honestly, it's really good, and that'll give you an insight into sort of, again, we talk about strong self with positive, like-minded people who help and support you, because that's a key issue. But goal setting for me is certainly key to moving forwards. That would be something I would be, advocating. If I was talking about anything at the moment, I'd say, look, I know it's a tough time, we're going through an hard time, but sit back, let's set some goals of where we want to get to. Let's have a look what we're going to do first. Baby steps if you need to. You can always think big in the back of your mind and have a good vision. Don't get me wrong, where you want to be, but these baby steps to get where you need to, slowly but surely. And sometimes you may fall down, sometimes you may fail. But I know for a fact that I'm in a good head at the moment, and I see failure now as almost a success. But I can also understand that sometimes for someone who's facing a challenging time could see failure as detrimental, but this is why I try and say, look, baby steps if you can, but it might happen. If you can try and look at failures as more of a bit of a positive sometimes, and we can learn from it and move forward, whether we redo it again or we try something different, then we move forward to our next goal. And the next thing, if you keep wrapping yourself around with these 5 ways of well-being, you will become in a better place, I think, personally, on a business level, but also for the right reasons as well. My business, Forces Fitness, isn't run on what profit I make each year. My business is run on making sure the guys get paid and making sure I make some sort of profit. I don't care if my profit's 1% or 500%. It doesn't bother me. I want to make sure the guys' wages are paid. I'm happy. My bills are paid, a house, and we have one holiday a year with the missus. That's what that's all I care about, if that makes sense. Whereas some businesses are driven on, we need a 50% uplift. We need this 20%. That to me, I'm not chasing that. I'm not chasing money. I'm chasing sort of health and time with my family, really. And that's what I tried to focus.
What would you say then to, for example, I've got one client who messaged me yesterday and said that they have taken the decision to not invest into their employees' mental health anymore this year.
Listen, I think
with immediate effect, by the way.
Yeah, I think that mental health at the moment is very, very, it's good. Mental health training, whether it's mental health first aid or advice or support, is hugely needed at the moment. And the proof is in that, just looking at what we're going through. Whether you're looking at sort of the issues that we got with military, and there are a lot of suicides at the moment, and there's a lot of people going through PTSD, and I've noticed it a lot more lately, to be honest with you. It's actually jumping up a hell of a lot. Massive, the NHS have been going to be worked to hell and back. They've gone through a really, really tough time. They're going to need a lot of help and support. And just off the back of there, the key workers we've got out there. Sorry if I'm not mentioning anybody, but care workers, there's a lot of people that are going through a tough time. And also as well, you look at the general public. You mentioned it earlier on. There's debts are rising for some people. People are being furloughed. They're not sure if they're getting brought back to work because the scheme's ending soon. You look at hospitality industries practically on its knees. The people are going to be suffering and going to be struggling. So if you can, if we kind of invest in some sort of mental health support, and I'm all about being proactive, that, Nick, and from trying to do the things that we do and getting the messages across that I can, but it's also nice to have that sort of reactive support as well where that's needed when people really need it, but if you can be a bit more proactive to start, that will help, and it will help. I think that, the proof is in the pudding. If you know a little bit, understand it a little bit more, and things that can keep you more on track, but that's not going to stop anything. That's not going to stop mental health issues, and we're never going to stop them, so we do need a support network in place, 100%.
Shout out time! Without the following sponsors, this show would not be possible. D-Logic and Angel Dye Media. For those interested in increasing exposure for your business, whilst supporting raising awareness of mental health in society, then contact the show and we'll demonstrate the many benefits you'll gain from becoming part of the family.
Many people are struggling at the moment, right? We've just kind of covered that. Whilst it's absolutely, I think, essential to see that people can come out the other side and to see success stories, because like you say, we are all individuals and that will feed some people. Mm-hmm. I think, but the ones who, seeing only hearing from successful people, does it seem real or is it too much? You know, for people on their knees, and you're like, fucking hell, really?
I can sort of, I can sort of understand what you're saying.
I can't think of how to ask the question properly, but do you see what I mean?
I know, I can sort of understand what you're saying. If you're constantly hearing of successful people and then you're not, could that have a negative effect? Is that what you're trying to get across a little bit? Yeah, and I think, you know,
I know it's a hard one.
It's a difficult. I suppose it is a difficult one. I think that, you know, potentially the people that are doing that or maybe talking about that, hopefully looking that they'll inspire people, and you know, inspiration I think is good, and you know, learning from other people and maybe lifting other people along the way on your journey, I think is good as well, you know. So I think that is something that, you know, I think if you meet someone who's a decent person in business and in life, they will always help and support other businesses and other people, you know. And I know that because I work with some great people along the way that, you know, I work in the same industry as them, I will help and support them, you know, and I will always do that if I can do something, you know. That again, I'm speaking from my sort of personal context. So I would like to say that, you know, helping and supporting other people and helping them on the journey is key. Could it have a negative effect? I think it probably maybe could at some point, but I think it's probably going to have more of a positive effect. I haven't got no figures, facts and figures on this, but I think it would have more of a, I'm just saying from my personal sense, that I think it would have more of a positive effect. But however, something's always going to have a negative effect on someone, Nick. Something somewhere will have a negative effect. No one's going to react to any situation purely positive. No one. There'll be somebody somewhere, even if it's a 1%, 2%, up to 50%, 100%, you know, not 100%, 90%, someone will always have that. And I think that's how you are as a person, potentially, as well. And the issues that we've had as well, you know, going through our lives previously have a massive effect on us, whether it's adverse childhood experiences, the ACEs, or, you know, growing up as a young child. They'll have big effects on us as well, which will affect the way we think and the way we process things, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's the first 2 years of your life, because the amygdala, what was it called? You should know this. Amygdala. It's the front quarter. Yeah. I'm going to blame that my wording on. It's a bit internet support, mate. The amygdala, freaking hell.
Anyway, you go with it. I think people get it. The people get it. The people get
there. No. It's basically the front cortex of your brain, and in the first 2 years of your life, dependent how you are treated as a child, then impact your emotional response to situations. Well, this is what I got told, because I spoke to Andrea Leadsom, MP, who is the local Conservative constituency MP round Toaster. And
I met Andrea a couple of times.
Oh, have you? So BJ has just put her in charge of mental health, but from the pre. It's not pre-teens, is it? It's the pre-whatever it is for youngsters. And apparently that's where they're going to be spending their money for mental health, is investing in that area, which is great for generations down the line. Doesn't quite help people in the here and now. But yeah, to back up what you say, it is very much dependent on people's past. 75% of people's decisions in the here and now are 75% of them are based on people's past, whether that's growing up, one parent, two parents, whatever, trauma, bullied, etc. So absolutely. And this, you know, I know how difficult it is to try and be that role model, if you like, for society. And, you know, just doing this show alone, you know, I get positive feedback and I get negative feedback, and people say I should be this way, and other people say that I should be this way. And so it's
you be what you want to be, Nick. You be what you want. You be what makes you happy. There's the answer, I think.
God damn it!
You be what makes you happy, mate.
But do you know what? It's taken me a long bloody time to get to that point where I go, no, stuff you. I'm going to do Let's Talk Mental Health, and we're going to talk about some topics that you ain't going to like. Some of you are going to like them, and some of you ain't. Because whilst I work on myself, these past 8 months to a year have been, apart from the 4 years ago when it was that my mental breakdown and attempted suicide, etc. Apart from that, this past year has been the hardest that I've experienced. And
why do you think that is?
It was a multitude of stuff. It was, I spent a lot of this time reflection. It was, I became suicidal again, July, August last year. My partner and I then separated, which then turned into a complete breakup. And a lot of bad stuff came out of that. So I've been on a kind of roller coaster. Then, as you know more than anyone, my health has been kind of getting worse from the pain side of stuff, and so it's taken a lot. Probably mentally now, I'm in the better place than what I have been for a long time mentally. Physically and pain-wise, it's probably the worst I've been for a long time.
Like a seesaw. It's like a seesaw, mate.
Yeah.
Like a seesaw.
I'll take that. But I spent a lot of time reflecting and working on myself this past year, and so I'm now in a place where, like, I'm going to do this, but I am more mindful of. Context was a word you mentioned earlier that I wrote down, was context. And whenever we're putting stuff out there about, whether it's a positive message or whatever we're doing, the context around that, rather than just hammering home, because, as putting the messages out there, we've got to take responsibility of our communication. Whenever we put anything out on social media, we've got to take responsibility for that communication. So I think there needs to be kind of context, and people need to be maybe a little bit more responsible of the message they're putting out. And as you rightly said, what you put out there is a good balance, between the two, and you promote them within the 5 steps of wellbeing, and it's still not consistently positive messages being hammered all the time. And it's a case of kind of going, we're going through shit times at the moment. These are the ways that you can get through this. There are different ways, etc. Is not just the one way. And a lot of videos, a lot of things that are out there at the moment is kind of going, this is the one way to do it. And I think
I don't think there's ever one way to do it, Nick. Honestly, I don't think there is. No. I don't think there's only one way. There's so many ways. And and I just draw back from experiences from me. I've got various qualifications in different things like health, diet, nutrition, personal training. I've done my qualifications through Mind, or the impact of sport and physical activity on mental health. So I've got a little bit of a background, but but I'd like to talk back about my experiences, because that's what I tend to pull from through life. If that makes sense.
Sure, absolutely.
And I think coming from growing up, and that my mother and father split up young, and then my mother and stepfather split up me, got to live with my nan when I was 15, sort of screwed my GCSEs up a little bit. When you look back, you think, yes, that was definitely why I didn't get all my GCSEs, and then sort of went off the rails a little bit, as most, that sort of happened a little bit. It wasn't a bad family environment, don't get me wrong, but certain things affect you in a different way, at that time at GCSEs, when your mum and stepdad split up, and so that affected me a little bit, and went off to the military, and the military did definitely help. But in one way, I think that from the military, it definitely helps, and I'm very thankful for my service and anything. But we used to drink a lot, and I suppose a positive role model for me not having that father figure back home. Then I was just on the lash and doing the usual things that squaddies do. We laugh about it now, don't we? Yeah. Going out drinking. Yeah. But I'm really thankful, because it did cement into me some really, really sort of core values, and it sort of. I wasn't no angel when I was young. I was a good soldier, but I definitely wasn't an angel. Anyone served me, they knew I wasn't an angel in the battalion. But I like to think I turned up on time and done my course as well. But I left the military then, and luckily, if a transition wasn't too bad, but there were times I should have asked for help as well. But you don't. You don't. I genuinely don't when you leave, because I thought at that time, that's it now, military's gone for me, I'm going to do my own civvy thing. Because
that's the mindset, isn't it?
And it was the mindset. But it took me about 5 years to re-engage, I think, back with the military community. And since I have re-engaged back, my life's become a lot more positive, and I sort of embraced it all, you know what I mean? Rather than, I don't think I've always been purely positive like I've been, Nick. I think the last 5-6 years is where I really changed my mindset, to be honest with you. Before that, there was times where I probably wouldn't portray so much positiveness or, so much. But I didn't have as much knowledge as well. And the more I've learned off people, and the more I've learned again around the 5 ways to wellbeing, which I think is a really great tool. And the more I listen to people and understand people a little bit more, that's where I try to get the message across that we do have all ups and downs, and life definitely isn't sunshine and rainbows at all. It isn't. It's tough and it's grim. It's nasty at times. But there is definitely light at the end of the tunnel, 100%.
Well, there's two big words there that you've just said, which is listen.
Not sunshine and rainbows.
Well, that's more than 2 words, mate, to be fair.
Oh, yes, it is. It's 3. Tell him infantry. Tell him infantry.
What did God? So the 2 words, Sean, were listen and understand.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen you so red. Listen and understand. I want you to be exactly the person who you are, because I find it inspiring. And this was never about trying to portray anything else. It was about asking some challenging questions, because I know there's people out there, some of them would come from people, they're not all my questions. Yeah. And that's another reason for wanting to do this podcast, so that we can put it out there and show to people, again, like I said, context we appreciate there's shit times right now, and they're probably going to get worse over winter. And 2021 is not exactly going to be sunshine and rainbows. Pretty worse, Sean. We do need people like you, Sean. We do need things like what you're doing, listening to people and seeking to understand others before seeking to be understood. I think I've said that the right around, is where we should be at, with a good balance. And you said about mistakes and failures and how people view them. Lastly, I would say... So what I usually say to people, especially in the group, is I try and get them to embrace their mistakes, their faults, their failures, all that kind of negative stuff, is to embrace it. More importantly, learn from it. And when you embrace and learn these negative things, you can then actually grow as a person, and you can grow and develop, and you reframe them. And these, what were negative elements, you reframe them into positive and positivity and strength. And that's where you grow and you develop and you become a better version of yourself. And I think it's so important that, as you rightly said, I think right at the beginning, about people trying not to be so afraid of failure. You would have, you'll probably be able to relate to this back to the military, mate, is if there was junior NCOs or senior NCOs, come to that matter, who hadn't failed at anything under their command, you're always more wary, and they didn't get as much respect, because you were like, that they hadn't kind of pushed it, that they ain't living life. If you've got that absolutely angelic kind of junior NCO who does his told all the time and just is a yes man, I was always wary of them fuckers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're thinking back now, aren't you?
Yes man. I don't think I was a yes man. I wasn't a yes man, no. I was always very fit, but I definitely wasn't a yes man when I was younger. And that's probably why I think that, in one way, though, I think that I've been quite good as an entrepreneur, and I've maybe come out in one way, because I haven't been afraid to just try different things and go a different route, rather than just following orders all the time. Even though following orders and being disciplined and, man management, and multiple skills we learned in the military, but we all go different ways, and I've seen so many successful entrepreneurs from young age, from junior ranks, even guardsmen, have done great when leaving, up to sort of senior commissioned officers. So being successful definitely doesn't equate to sort of what rank you leave the military. I've seen that on for so many people. Yeah. But and everyone's really thankful for their service, though, I think now. But at the time, you wouldn't have realised it, and I didn't. I was young. Maybe the old saying that to be old and wise, you to be young and foolish. I think that applies to me a little bit when I was younger. I can definitely relate to that one. And I like to think of myself as being more rounded and hopefully a person that will try and help and support people in which.
Well, I think it makes you a better leader and role model when you've lived life more and living life more under whatever guise that is, wherever in life you are at. That does involve making mistakes and having failures, and because that's when you learn, and that's where you learn your limits as an individual anyway, and you're never going to learn what you can and can't achieve until you try. And when you fail, you then go, okay, so I've learned I'm no good at maths, so I ain't going to be an accountant. I learnt that message a long time ago. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, mate, want to wrap it up there. Thanks ever so much for your time. Please don't stop doing what you're doing, being the person you are. Because, like I say, you are an inspiration to me. I know you're an inspiration to many, many other people out there, not just veterans, but also within the business world and society in general. So please keep doing what you're doing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you aren't aware of the Veterans Awards, get out from under that rock and actually try Googling them. There are the Welsh, English and Scottish Veterans Awards, with the Commonwealth ones coming soon.
Yeah,
is that right?
I mean, so we've got the Veterans Awards, which in Wales, England, and Scotland. They're open to everyone because that sometimes gets a bit confusing. They think it's just for Welsh, English, or Scottish veterans, but it's actually open for everyone, any nationality serving in the UK Armed Forces. So you could be from South Africa, but just living in England. It's basically you need to be based or operate or live in Wales, depending on your business or wherever you are. So we did have the sort of plans in place to launch it next year, Commonwealth. We're going to backstop it for another year to 2022 because of the obvious reasons at the moment. We've had to move across Wales and Scotland into 2021, the beginning of 2021 already, because we're a little bit behind opening up. England, as it stands, is going to be towards the tail end of this year. Fingers crossed again, but we know what it's like at the moment. That may get shifted to the right. We'll see what happens. And at the end of the day, safety comes first. We can celebrate the positive, a nice night, wherever, but safety of the people and all those fantastic veterans that are doing great things and the companies that are supporting us, we just want to celebrate their success. So we want to do that in a safe way. So we'll keep looking at that with the board and our sponsors and people who are involved to see, does that need to be moved or can it be done safely ultimately?
Yeah, brilliant. Awesome. Have you got any shout-outs lastly you want to do, mate?
Well, I just like to say thank you to everyone who supports what we're doing with the Veterans Awards, really. We've got some amazing people, some amazing charities, some amazing, overall everybody from the civilian community, military community, just people who support us. Thank you very much. Your likes and shares. Thanks for having me, obviously, Nick. Today it's been really nice. And you know what? The questions have been good because they've been questions that, made me think a little bit more sometimes than most of the interviews that I have. Most interviews sometimes that I have, they maybe don't challenge me as much as that, but that was good. And it was really good. I just like to sort of sign off by saying, definitely look at those 5 ways to well-being, help and support people where we can. We talked about surrounding ourselves with decent people who are going to help you on your journey and not put you down and say, you can't do this, you can't do that, you're rubbish. Those are the people we don't want around us. Try and have those people who help and support us. Giving back was massively key. Helping, supporting, embracing failure. You said it, set your goals. You might fall down a few times, but it's not the end of the world if you do. And if you can try and get your head around that one, it's a big one. It's a big win, that is, in life, I think. Yeah. It's a big win once you understand that one. And if you can just keep driving forward as best you can. But my door's always open as well to everybody. I say that, if anybody wants to get in contact with me, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, I will help and support people. And that's what I do. And I'm not going to charge anyone for the help and support. If I can give them a little bit of help and support with a bit of advice, I will genuinely do that, which I have done for a lot of people over this current situation, as you can imagine, whether business people, whether it's to do with risk assessments and regulations, or whether it's just to do with general support. But
and he means that, ladies and gents. I please trust me. That I know that he means that, and he is there for people. He's one of the few gentlemen and true guys out there. He's a man of his word. So yeah, he is there for you all. Good man.
No, thank you very much. And that's it. I think really it's been really good. It's been a really nice chat, Nick. Honestly, it's been good. Like I said, the questions have been really good. And again, I think we've learned something really about different personal perspective and contents, and when saying things as well, which I think is is great for me. And we learn every day. And maybe I've learned a few things from this as well, mate. It's been a great conversation.
Yeah, no, thanks, mate. You know, I'm trying to be more positive. It's, you know, sometimes it's hard, and things like chronic pain and, you know, stuff like that. Kind of, it's difficult. But I want to try and get it to a place where I'm trying to find that balance again of as a role model, as apparently I am. Is, you know, I'm putting myself out in the limelight, so therefore that's why context is so important for me, to try and find that right balance of I'm feeling really shit today, so I'm going to put out, you know, I'm going to go on, I'm going to put out shit negative messages because I feel like crap. It's not going to help those who are really down. At the same time, for me, I think there needs to be a balance, like I said, of not yourself, but other individuals who are like overly positive. But like I said, we talked about, it's just that's all life consists of.
No, and there is more than one way. Yeah, I can purely understand that we have grim, rough days, and I do know that. And there's bad days there, you know, and it's understanding how you can best feel best about yourself, maybe is the best word in. Does that make sense in one way? You know, what, and so you could do what makes you sort of happy and feel a bit better about yourself as best you can. I mean, Nick, I know you're going through a lot of pain, mate, and sometimes you must be really tough physically. And I know you've had mental health issues past as well, mate. So it's tough again finding that happy balance, buddy. But again, it's looking within yourself sometimes and having we talked about it. I know knock on all these 5 ways of wellbeing, people are probably really sick of them, but just having a bit of that person you can maybe pick the phone up or drop a message to, an inbox, sometimes that makes you feel better. Mate, I'm having a shit day. Do you know what? I just want to get something off my chest. And I've had that. I've had to do that to someone before. Don't get my own Facebook might be positive, but it doesn't mean there isn't things that go out to me as a person that I don't go negative. And I've done it. Yeah. I've gone, oh, Jesus Christ, I've had a bad day. I've just had the vent. Is that cool? And they're like, yeah, no worries. I'm like, wicked, right, back on the train now. Let's get it, you know, because that has to happen. And, you know, we know that. And that is life. Like the old Bloody Boy's Own song, isn't it? Life's a roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I worry about your fucking music, listeners, mate. But
I know, you know, it's been a good chat. It's always a good chat anyway whenever I speak to you. But it was good today.
Awesome. Cheers, bruv. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Let's Talk Mental Health Show. If you have been affected by any of the show, then do please reach out to the Samaritans on 116123. Should you have any questions and liked what you heard, then give us a follow, like and communicate via our social media. For now, take care of those around you, but please, now more than ever, take care of yourselves.